Since making a YouTube channel, I've always wanted to cover some of my favorite manga. They're in the same entertainment family as comic books, and for a while, manga was my favorite form of media to consume. You could say that I'm a certified weeb, to be honest. But with all that being said, this video will be a little bit more different than what I usually put out. Today, we won't be dissecting and explaining a specific chapter, but instead we'll be talking about the captured, or otherwise out of commission, members within the League of Villains in the world-famous series, My Hero Academia. My name is DZ, and without further ado, let's begin. So if you don't know by now, or if you've been living under a rock or inside the strict realm of comic book only fans, My Hero Academia is a manga series about a world of people where about 80% of them have some kind of superpower or quirk, if you will. For reference, think of the X-Men mythos, but kind of backwards. And basically the Charles Xavier School for the Gifted is like a normal high school. It's like a normal charter school in this world. And the League of Villains, they're like the Brotherhood of Mutants, but with way less organization and way more teenage angst. Nevertheless, these alternative kids have a lot of heart and even more power. But the real question is, how much power? Let's find out by taking a look at the fallen members of the League first. In a follow-up video, we'll be looking at the members that are actually still alive and kicking, you know. But for now, let's look at their fallen comrades. Now, I know I was just talking about how much power the League of Villains has, but these first few characters fall kinda short of the mark when it comes to this very subject. Let's start with Mustard, a young middle school student with aspirations to becoming a hit villain. Let's just say he falls completely short of that for now. However, it's not because of his bad ability. Actually, his quirk Gas? That's honestly like one of the running for one of the best quirks of the series as a whole, at least for a villain. It can easily incapacitate large groups of people with the purple gas's sleep-inducing effect. Not much is known about the gassy boy, but he does get his claw cleaned as he's sitting in a tiny little jail cell right now. I mean, if this kid does come back and have a quirk awakening or something like that, he'll definitely be a force to be reckoned with. I'm not even gonna lie to you. He's gonna be like a main villain if he gets awakened and like he actually grows up some, because that gas quirk is ridiculous. But with an abysmal 1 out of 5 in power and speed, a 2 out of 5 in cooperativeness, and a 3 out of 5 in intelligence, and a 4 out of 5 in technique, he has a very long way to go before he gets the top spot in the league. Next on this list of failed villains is Moonfish. Now, he's a way more combat-oriented personality than Mustard. He, like, always wants to smoke, and he honestly would have had a lot of agency in the team if he didn't get arrested. And if he wasn't so damn creepy. And, like, bad at cooperation and, like, you know, a whole bunch of other problems. Like, his power comes out of his mouth and makes his teeth long. Like, wait, wait, time out. What's his power called? Literally blade tooth? Oh my gosh. Okay, so his teeth turn into giant blades and lift his body up and make him look like some sharp tentacles. Like it's not kosher. I bet his breath stink too. Like I'm really glad he got dealt with by Dark Shadow, you know. And with his 3 out of 5 in power and intelligence, his 1 out of 5 in cooperativeness, and his 5 out of 5 in speed and technique, he might not be so easy next time. But for now, he's sitting in the jail cell. Now we turn to Muscular, the last trio of the members who were arrested at the UA training camp, and honestly the most powerful of the three. He has a muscle augmentation quirk that rivals the likes of Deku's 100% power level output. He was dealt with just like the others in the list, don't get me wrong, but his ideals and mindsets were way different than Moonfish and Mustard's. Like, it was on a way different level. And again, he's a not a fodder villain, but he's a side villain. So his character development and all that stuff will be negligible compared to the main characters. But regardless, he was a man that stood by his word and expected his opponent or victims to do the same. Now, if you're not familiar with the story of Hero Academia, a lot of weight falls on the character's ideals and viewpoints created within this wild world. I think it was Muscular's duty in the story as a whole to specifically challenge the main character, whose name is Deku, and his mindset to save everyone and everything. Again, this is a story about the kid wanting to become the #1 hero, right? Well, how are you gonna be the best hero if your ideals are crushed so easily? Under a quirk that's just like yours. This fight was orchestrated to knock the dog shit out of Deku. Like, I'm not even gonna bleep this one out. It was orchestrated to knock the crap out of Deku and make him realize how real this world really is. Like, we're not playing heroes and villains no more. People's lives are at stake right now. And Muscular, despite being defeated and now out of commission, played that role perfectly. He really made Deku think. And that's why I like him a lot. Now, his power and speed of 5 out of 5, his technique is a 2 out of 5, and his intelligence and cooperativeness is a 1 out of 5. So I bet we haven't seen the last of him. but we have seen the last of them in the League of Villains, I believe. So as far as heroic villains go, they're usually meant to portray parts of society that have been underrepresented and mistreated since the dawn of quirks in this world. Mustard was a scorned child who had no guidance. He was basically like a little rich kid that just didn't have any parental guidance. Moonfish was a man with mental disabilities, and Muscular just wanted his own power and ended up overdoing it because of the strict guidelines in place for quirk uses in the first place. Now, Magna, she's a little bit different. Also known as Kenji Hishiki, she actually comes from an underrepresented piece of society in our world. She's a transgender woman that joined the League simply to live the way she wants to live. You know, isn't that poetic? Being able to be your true self around people you truly care about. Well, I mean, besides the murders and multiple counts of robberies and attempted murders and terrorist activities, you know, against high schools. But, you know, besides that, it is poetic. Her power, magnetism, allows her to attract and repel her targets in a 4.5 meter radius based on their gender. So males get positive charge and females get negative charge. It's really more of a support power in all honesty, but when you take into account her 4 out of 5 in power and her 5 out of 5 in technique, she is no ordinary support whatsoever. Now, she has a 2 out of 5 in intelligence and a 3 out of 5 in speed and cooperativeness, so I wish Magna wasn't taken out so viciously because she was taken out pretty viciously. She's not coming back. I can, you know, joke and kid around about all the other League of Villains members coming back and like joining the fold, but Magna is not coming back whatsoever. No, she is gone. Now, one of the most important things I've been alluding to in this entire video so far is the need for powerful quirks and crazy abilities. And while Kurogiri falls short on the power scaling of the villains, it's safe to say that he was one of the most useful villains by far, and the League wouldn't have made it anywhere near as far without old Okugiri helping guide the spoiled Shigaraki to success. With a 2 out of 5 in power and a 3 out of 5 in speed, it doesn't look like he'd be that useful in a fight at all, to be honest. But having this 4 out of 5 in technique and intelligence and a 5 out of 5 in cooperation will change almost anyone's mind when it comes to this bartender's usefulness. His quirk, titled Warp Gate, helps the League travel most anywhere they want without being detected. It's alluded that Kurogiri can even cut people in half on the molecular level if he closes one of his portals around somebody. And that's honestly one of the worst ways to go. Imagine this, right? You're on the battlefield and suddenly your lower body gets mailed back to your house. Overnight shipping and everything. Kurogiri don't play none of that. And one of his most interesting things about him is the fact that in his past life, Kurogiri wanted to be a hero. Back when his name was Shirakumo and before his body got taken by the heinous All For One, he was a happy-go-lucky kid with the ability to create clouds. However, as he saved his friend Aizawa from certain death, his life was taken instead, and he was born anew as a smoky villain by the name of Kurogiri. And last, but certainly, definitely, absolutely not least, is the best character in this series, boy, is the #1 best boy, Twice. Now, Twice didn't start off as the strongest or most capable villains in the League at all, like nowhere near. He was only able to create like 3 or 4 clones, and while he was able to copy his companion's looks, powers, and abilities to one of his clones, that ability can only go so far in the grand scheme of things. Like, you can only do so much with 3 or 4 clones of yourself. However, when his fellow team member Toga was in mortal danger, and Twice was pushed into a corner with no other options but to succeed, he evolved into something the hero organization feared the most. See, once he was forced under these heavy circumstances, he broke his arms, like he was cornered and surrounded by other clones of himself that wasn't actually himself, like he was going through it, right? But he unlocked the power that lay dormant for most of his villain career. Enter the Sad Man's Parade, where him and his doubles continuously create doubles and more doubles and more doubles, to the point where they could take down an entire country alone. Add that to his ability to copy his teammates, and you have a monster on your hands, man. Like, there is no reason not to be scared of this man, besides like him talking and like goofing around. And yeah, I understand why the Hero Association had Hawks go in and whack that man. For the future of the country, yeah, for the, like, you don't want the villains to do whatever. But that don't mean that I don't have to like it. Why do you have to take my boy Twice, man? He was best boy, dog. And he got a mediocre 3 out of 6 in power, speed, technique, and intelligence. But with his talkative nature, he gets a 6 out of 6. Nevertheless, Twice gets taken way too soon, and if he was left alive, there's no possible way the villains would have lost the current war. As a matter of fact, I believe that the series would be over if Twice was alive. So yeah, those are all the members of the League of Villains that have either been defeated or imprisoned. I didn't put All For One in there due to the fact that he's technically out now, I guess, maybe? I mean, Gigantomachia smelled him and he's like a literal blockhead, so his physical presence must be at least somewhere in the vicinity. And I think All For One should have his own video regardless. Then again, so should Twice. And if you think Twice should get his own video talking about his backstory and everything else that pertains to him, make sure you give this video a like and share it with your friends so they can get caught up with My Hero Academia as well. And with all that being said, I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope you have a wonderful day filled with love and compassion for the things you care about most in this world. And last thing, I love you. So please take care of yourselves out there. Goodbye.